Hi everyone, and welcome to the CCAS industry update here with James Parkin. Really excited today to have somebody here for an interview with me that we've been speaking for the last few weeks in regards to AI in the CX space. Sanjay Rakshit. Sanjay is a technology professional with over 25 years of experience in building payments, billing, credit card fraud detection, and speech recognition products. He's an alumnus of the University of Edinburgh. He has 2 master's degrees in AI, the second master's specialising in speech and language processing. His passion is the application of AI and machine learning in building cost-effective solutions that solve customer problems. The emphasis here lies on cost-effective, because that's his major principle. Is whatever the size of the business, cost-effectiveness is key. It's just that bigger businesses can absorb a bit more of a loss. And in his free time, he's a sportsman, and he's climbing what he describes as some of Scotland's easier mountains. I'm not sure there are any, but Sanjay, welcome and thank you for your time.
Thank you, James. Yeah, delighted to be invited to air my views on CX and how AI can help in furthering the CX. Yeah, thank you.
Well, I think from our conversations, it became really apparent. I think that the people that subscribe and read the CCAS industry update and are going to listen to this interview can get a great deal from hearing your thoughts as a real expert in this field. What Sanjay and I have narrowed down we're going to talk about is really whether or not, for the listeners here, whether or not your company is missing the bigger CX opportunity that's created by AI, or even worse, is creating additional risk by not using it properly. And we're going to talk about where the space is today. Sanjay's going to talk to us about what he thinks the low-hanging fruit is that organizations can get their hands around, what the longer-term goals should be as well, whether there's a risk of some of these companies that are going to crop up very quickly and frequently now offering AI services, but they're probably not doing it quite right. And then how he, when he's in one of his senior leadership roles, which he does very, very frequently, would pitch the application of AI within CX to, let's say, a less tech-savvy board. Not that there are, of course, are any of those. Of course, I don't hear that, but yeah. And so hopefully there's some real-world advice for people that they can take away. And I'm sure these conversations are ongoing. So build on the work that you are already all doing. So Sanjay, first question then. Let's start at where the AI space is today in relation to CX for most companies. Are we just at the tip of the iceberg, and what are most companies doing now?
So Conv AI was the next frontier a couple of years ago. It is now the frontier, but I think Conv AI has been extended where from being mere chatbots or voice recognition, speech recognition systems, such as, now and again you get a call, you say, tell us your credit card number, or tell us your order number, or tell us what you're here for. So it moved on from that to a dialogue system where whether it's a chat or it's a conversation where you're talking to each other, or there's a conversation going on. However, the focus has been on that front for the past couple of years, of providing a user experience where you feel like you're talking to somebody, or we know we are not talking to a person, it's virtual, but the experience is as near speaking to a person as possible. Mm-hmm. It was more on the experience as opposed to the content. In the last year or so, I'd say, probably, it's 2023, isn't it? It feels like 2022 still. Yeah. So the last year or so, there has been a movement in a drive in integrating various systems now with the dialogue system, if you like. I don't call it Conv AI anymore because it's a lot more than conversation. They integrate with telephony, routing systems, CRMs, even payment systems, mm-hmm. where you speak out your card number, but it's secure, PCI compliant. And so it's gone beyond let's have a chat, or let me be as near human as possible, to let me see if we can start picking up from your order number, the order you placed, the delivery schedule, or the tracking, or the payment, or even, hey, this is not this is beyond my realms of intelligent responses. Let me patch you on to somebody who can actually help you. So that's where right now CX is, and AI is underpinning all this, because a lot of recognition and NLP, speech recognition and NLP, is going on in order to understand what the customer is wanting. So that's where we are.
Mm. And in your opinion, what's the low-hanging fruit then that most organizations using AI can pick up that will improve their CX?
So the focus has been pretty much on integration. But I dare say, and it's quite controversial here, but I dare say that the the race is trying to incorporate AI into a system as opposed to solve a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Then figure out, does AI help us solve the problem? So the race is, hey, how many systems, peripheral systems, can the dialogue system, which is AI driven, integrate with? So that's the USP. But I don't think that's the end of it. The low hanging fruit is that by integrating with different systems and having the data of that customer in different systems, there is an opportunity to understand the customer, understand its persona, understand the behavior. And that to me is a low hanging fruit. Another thing that's coming in just now, which is I'd probably say that it's being used, but it's still not being used in anger or to its fullest potential,
Mm-hmm.
is the speech analysis systems. So you got calls that are being recorded real time or offline, and trying to gain insights, like platforms like Versational. They do that. They take a recorded call, or they listen into a recorded call. Of course, when I say listen in, it's an AI bot, and then it draws insights from there. You call James in terms of how the customer is feeling, if there are emotion in it, the sentiment, nuggets that a business would like to know, which are indicators of the satisfaction of the customer. So to me, these are the low hanging fruit. The data is already there.
Mm.
But it's to utilize and understand the data to preemptively help the engagement with the customer that drives a delightful CX. So that to me is a low-hanging fruit, is using the data we have now, actually try and solve and preempt, as opposed to just integrate with different systems.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, that's something you and I have talked about quite a lot. And it thinking about it in our own customer experiences as we interact with brands and organizations, that would add enormous value. The integration side of it is great for the organization, but that preemptive support, I suppose, of a human in some cases as well, so that agent can respond most effectively and with the most current data that is going to provide, as you said, a delightful customer experience. I think is going to really make some companies stand out. And I guess that ties into kind of our third question then. So I was going to ask you, what should be the longer term goals for organizations? So let's say they're looking at AI now, maybe they are just thinking about integrating it into as many systems as possible, but what should their longer term goals be that will really move things forward for them and their customers?
So in order to answer that, I think we need to look at the evolution of the call center. That's a classic area of applying customer support or customer experience. I think initially it was a query response system. I have a problem. Can you give me some more information, please? That evolved to, I have a problem. What do I need to do?
Mm-hmm.
And then, I have a problem. How can you help? And then, I'd like to buy a service. So it has moved from a query system to a fulfillment system.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's the full circle when we had humans. But now with virtual agents, the fulfillment bit becomes key, because that takes an understanding of the person that you're speaking to. So back, rewind 5, 6, even 8, 9 years, they would talk about, oh, what's the weather like? How's it getting on? It was a way to connect.
Mm-hmm.
And the person also connected with the customer service agent. Now they had a bond, and there was a mutual understanding of each other that, hey, you're going to look after me, and and I'm going to look after you. So that bit, when that became, when that started solidifying at the time, when that became the connection, the service was excellent. But when we moved to a virtual world, the focus so far has been, let me talk to you. So we are back to where we were years ago, because we've redefined the paradigm. We don't have humans. We're trying to start the whole process, albeit on a virtual world. So that's the background. With that, the long-term goal is fulfillment to me. But the simple bit, sorry, I like to simplify everything and not trivialize, but it's that we had that with humans, where, James, you could call in, I could be answering hey, James, I'm Sanjay. I know, do you know what? No, I do. Let me see what I can do for you. It was that connection that we have now lost with the virtual world. How do we get that back? So it's not about someone responding. Of course, you're responding. We are used to that now. We are, as humans now, we are used to a very high level of service. That is why we used to get irate when, I can talk about it for years. We used to get irate when we said, why are you reading off a script? Because when the volumes increased and when there were many processes introduced, we had stopped our customer service agents from being human. We told them, just read off the script. You got a problem, fire it back to the next level. And we didn't like that. And that's why, so we are back to that, right? We're reading off the script, right? Okay, take that away. Put a virtual agent in, reading off the script. You know what? We put some intelligence into it to inject AI. Oh, right. Okay, I understand now. You don't have to say the keyword now. I'll understand it. That's it. Now it is, oh, okay, I understand a little bit more. I'm going to route you to Sanjay or to somebody else. Then it's actually, you know what? No point routing, because you're repeating the same thing over and over again. Let me start integrating with systems so I can retrieve that information and hand it to the next level. You see the pattern. It's the same pattern, except that it's not human anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. That's yeah. When you said you like to make things simple, it's often said that that's actually the hardest thing to do. But when you lay it out like that, you're absolutely right. We're mirroring that journey that we've been on before with humans. Now with AI and dialogue, and yeah, we're going to encounter some of the same problems. I think consistency of service is something that I see as well. You can phone the same company 5 times and get a totally different service experience each time. With AI supporting agents and delivering that service through the data that it's got, brands should be able to see an increased consistency in service. And speaking personally, that's often one of the things that frustrates me the most, is I can call a company, get just someone exceptional who's so helpful and absolutely gets it, and then you can call again, different day of the week, different time of day, weekend versus weekday or whatever, and the service is just very, very different. And you think, you almost start to plan it with some brands and say, no, I'm going to call them on a Tuesday morning, because that's when I seem to get the best result out of it. So yeah, I think there's certainly we're on a journey with it, and there's certainly some long-term wins for brands that will make a real difference to their CX. One of the things that I started to see, and this is something I think we need to caution people against, is we're undoubtedly going to see a lot of hastily set up companies offering AI services or solutions, and they're going to pretend to do a lot more than they actually can. Whenever there is a buzzword or a boom in the technology space, it is followed by that type of growth in companies offering quick and fast solutions. What's the danger to an organization that takes that sort of transactional approach to AI within their customer experience?
So the transactional approach is driven by 2 things. One, it's a reactive system. So you have a trigger and then you do something about it. That's a transaction, right? But currently, with the experience that we have around the world, because everybody is a technologist, even if you work for Coca-Cola, you're technology aware, if not very good at it. the race is adding tech, not solving problem. So the danger of having a transactional approach is, one, you're waiting for something to happen in order to fix it or to address it. Or you're trying to inject tech with the hope that it's going to catch any issues. What's missing is actually trying to understand what the problem is. And then, so it's the value in tech, but I firmly believe it's the value in the application of it. It's the experience value. What does it solve?
Yeah.
What do we need to solve the problem? So the focus is not on the problem. Back to that the third question you had was that, what's the long-term goal? The long-term goal now is fulfillment of the customer's needs. Then, right, let's figure out what's missing. As opposed to, I've got all the tech. How come the customer is not still feeling really great about this experience?
Yeah.
So we are focused on triggers, reactive, but also tech, as opposed to fixing or looking at what we're trying to achieve and then seeing what do we need. Tech is a means to an end. It's not the end. I think the problem now is that we are all so excited. There's so much around and easily available that tech has become the end as opposed to the problem and solution.
Yeah. Absolutely. So I think there's a lot of analysis and discovery that organizations will need to do about their long-term goals around customer experience before they start listening to pitches and getting on demos and things like that with these companies that are probably going to sell quite similar solutions or services that really are just, as you say, adding tech rather than fulfillment. So yeah, I think the danger with that as well, if you're a founder, a CEO, and you are investing in bringing tech in, but then you're not seeing an ROI out of it, you're going to lose faith in it and say, well, it's a gimmick, or it doesn't really work, or it doesn't do what it says it's going to do. Actually, you probably just haven't spent the time on the analysis and the discovery internally first. And that will enable you to pick the right partner rather than some of these companies that I think will suddenly pop up selling a service that 3 weeks ago they had no track record in doing so, but all of a sudden they seem like they can. And then that kind of touches on then our last question. So hypothetically, if you were in a technical leadership position or a CX leadership position and believe in which you clearly do, in the long-term application of AI to improve a business's CX, how would you pitch to a less than tech savvy board or CEO to get them to the table to talk about, properly bringing AI into the CX process to gain that fulfillment that we talked about a few times, and how would you go about getting that investment from them so that you, as that leader, can go away and then deliver that for your business?
Good question. The interesting bit is that I like the way you phrased it, less than tech savvy. Now, I fundamentally think we're underestimating all of us in that case, because everybody is tech. I mean, our life is governed by tech. So we all understand tech. Everybody does. Think where the challenge is, or where things tend to get tricky, is that now I've been a CTO, I'm a CPO, so thankfully I love both the commercialization as well as the tech. It's the application of and making money. What we don't talk about is we don't talk about the benefit. So where we tend to lose, well, I have in the past, I've been burnt by that. I've lost my earlier days of being a CXO, lost my CEO I was talking technology. I was not talking solution to a problem. And that's how I approach everything just now. And it's uniform in fintech, where I come from fintech, I come from CX or speed technology. I never use technology to explain a solution. So the need or the perceived hurdle of less tech savvy is removed straight away, because I'm not talking tech.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking the problem and solution. So example for this is I did that a few years ago where I was explaining to the investors in the board that in order for us to understand, to use a virtual system, an intelligence system for customer service as a call center, as a first and second line of call center, if we do not pay attention to understanding the customer, the impact is that we will lose them. Therefore, it's important that we apply the right systems and use the data to build to build an understanding, to gain an understanding of the customer, the personas, the customers, so that we are able to predict their needs, or at least understand them coming from, because most of the time we don't articulate very well because we are really annoyed at something. Right?
Yes.
So we're trying to understand what they need. So in order to do that, and if we did that, then we would retain them, we would upsell, because customers, let's face it, even times like these where money is tight, we don't mind paying a little premium to stick with a service that understands, that gets us, that helps us, because we can focus on something else. We don't have to worry about it. Right? So in order to do that, what will that look like from a revenue point of view to that business? And then we do the maths, and then we say, right, and what does it take to implement a system like that? And that's when I start looking at technology. So, right, I need NLU to understand. I need a speech recognition software. I need something like Versational, as I said, which can understand recordings, which can understand and could gain insights, gems from customer conversations. And what would that look like? And what's the cost? And then we say, right, that's the cost. That's what we get. So it's all strategic. But it's coming from a point of, let's look at the problem, what we need to solve the problem at a conceptual level, and then what systems we need, and then what tech drives those systems. So it becomes a far easier conversation, because we're all talking about the same thing, which is to have a profitable business, but at the same time driven by delightful customer experience. If you don't have customers, you don't have a business. So delightful customers that results in a profitable business, and what tech and what systems do we need in order to deliver that? Does that answer your question?
Absolutely. I think you said it yourself. You like to simplify everything. It's a very difficult thing to do. It's a talent, and you do it really, really well. I enjoy listening to you. I think you painted that journey there really clearly, and to have a profitable company with a delightful customer experience. I mean, who can argue with that, right? That's our questions. Again, I really appreciate your time. I hope everybody listening and who subscribes to the newsletter found that insightful. You can obviously find Sanjay Rakshit on LinkedIn if you want to reach out to him and ask him any questions directly, and I'm sure he'll be happy to communicate with you all. But Sanjay, again, thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me, James. Appreciate it.
No problem.